You can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious!
Well, now, here's a man. A man, I'm telling you, it's a man, so that's given away 50% of the community. This is a man I've had not a lot to do with personally, but when we were all playing football, I had a fair bit to do with him, indirectly and probably directly at some stages. He probably belted me several times, and I've not remembered it because that's what happens when you get belted a lot of times. You don't remember anything. Anyhow, he was a plasterer. That's what he plasterer. He was a plastics manufacturer, and now he's a scrap metal dealer. He was nominated, have a listen to this, I didn't know this, he was nominated as one of the 25 greats never to have won a Brownlow medal. I didn't know that. That's not extraordinary, but that is a revelation to me. He played for the great Collingwood side in two stints between 1962 and 1971, and then in 76 to 77. He played 182 games in total. Why am I looking at you? For Collingwood, I'm looking at him now. And then he played as a captain coach of Essendon from 72 to 75, and he played 69 games for the Bombers. Now, he coached Essendon, obviously, if he was captain and coach and played 69 games. He played from 72 to 75 as captain and coach of Essendon, and he then coached South Melbourne when they were still South Melbourne, and I think playing at the South Melbourne Oval. What's it called? What's a South Melbourne Oval called?
Lakeside.
Thank you. I played there myself in 1978. And his win-loss ratio is not impeccable. It is absolutely neat. He won 56 games. He won 56 games as coach and lost 56 games as coach. He's got a 56-56 split. There we are. They're the only stats I could muster up. And he is, I was going to say he was, but he is, because he's sitting in front of me, the great Des Tuddenham. Welcome.
Thank you, Sam.
Did I get any of that wrong?
No, pretty accurate, yeah.
It was pretty accurate.
You're getting better.
Well, I've got to keep doing it until I get it right. So I'm into my 80th year, and I know this. And you're 82, because I think I saw you down in Port Melbourne, and it was the day your birthday was on, and we said hello.
Yeah, nearly. It's 2 weeks away, 29th of January.
Oh, it's not yet.
Not yet. It's a couple of weeks away, Sam. So
okay.
I'm hanging now, 82, and I can't lie, as you know. I'm a twin. I've got a twin brother.
Basil
in Ballarat.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can't lie.
What date's his birthday?
We're the same day. Would you believe?
That was a joke. So are you close to Basil?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of one another, but we are very close.
You're from a big family, aren't you?
We are. One of 9.
Yeah.
Seven boys and 2 girls.
Good Catholics?
Very much so.
And Des, you're a God-fearer. I got a feeling you're a churchgoer and a Christian man. Would that be right, or have you given that away a bit?
No, we'll give it away a fair bit, yeah. My mum and dad, we went to Mass every Sunday, and my mum was a wonderful, played the piano, and she could sing unbelievably, and and Dad was a counsellor and JP for many years, so they did a wonderful job for the community and reared 7 children.
Please don't explode the myth and tell people that the great Des Tuddenham, the great tough Des Tuddenham, was a choir boy up in Ballarat, was he, at any stage?
No, I was never in the choir.
Holy.
Thank goodness Mum said I could never sing.
Thank the Saviour for that. So I could go all through that, but people who know that you're here speaking to me, who are interested in your great career, particularly the Collingwood part of it. No, not particularly the Collingwood part of it, moreover probably the Essendon part of it. But you were appointed the captain. I like this. This is what the machine tells me when I look up just who I'm speaking to. The machine tells me that you were appointed the captain of Collingwood in 1966 because of your toughness. does the extrapolation of that mean that Collingwood weren't tough in the 60s?
Well, I started in '62 under Physicality.
Yes.
And obviously, their technique of training and program wasn't, a very good for me in many ways. But they had the tradition, and they lived on tradition in those times. And of course, then when Bobby Rose came along in '64, I think Bobby Rose and I we had a wonderful understanding, and he backed me in 100%. I always appreciate that. That he says, you're a leader, you're a player that can do something a little bit extra than the other player, and he made me captain. I always appreciate that.
Yeah, I've got a feeling Fonskine, just by that description, is a little like Bob Davis, my first coach, who great man and just wanted the team just to be nice and play beautifully, and didn't want you to go in too hard, run round someone if you could do it rather than run through them. And he loved all that stuff, Bob. He just so I got a feeling Fonts and he were bedfellows. Yeah,
well, he was a very smooth ruckman, Fonskine. Only one time I did play my first. I sat on the bench selected against Geelong at Tuddenham Park with Ronnie Roos. We sat on the bench.
62.
Yes.
Yep.
And we sat on the bench all day, and at half time, Fonskine ordered everybody out of the rooms. And really, they were about 5 goals down. I thought, well, I'm on the bench. I've got a chance of getting a run here. But he called them weak-kneed, spineless pricks. Yeah, and they came out, and, they just turned the corner again, kicked about 7 in the third quarter, so I didn't get a run.
Absolutely sounds like Bob. I remember when in '64 we would be getting a pasting at half time, and usually all the fans had come into the room. They'd let them into the room and hear the coach's address, and we had a big strong doorman called Tommy Morrow, who was a great ruckman for Geelong, and Bob didn't like to single anyone out, and he had the 2 Lord twins, Alistair and Stewart, and he was giving them, and he didn't give it, but he said, and fair dinkum, Stewart, if you don't, no, he said, and some of you players, if you don't have a go, and Tom Morrow would shout from the door, name them, Bob, and Bob said, he wouldn't name anyone, he said, and you all must have a go, or fair dinkum will finish the game with only a 60, and Tom Morrow said, name them, Bob. And Bob said, well, you fair dinkum, shut up, Tommy. I can't concentrate on what I'm saying. So Bob would never like to single anyone out. But
I think Fonz was the same, Sam, overall picture, but no individual stuff.
No, you said Bob Rose embraced you because of your toughness, because you went a little extra. That would be the rat-a-tat-tat, Tuddy, just from just a little bit of backhanded elbows, sharpness, a little bit of toughness.
Only on an opponent that I had to defeat,
Yes.
I really do. I know I was type of like of keepers and players like that. You give them a nudge in the stomach before the game when the umpire went down.
Yeah.
But overall, I always wanted the ball, and irrespective, like I never. Sometimes you'd give them elbow or whatever coming through. I was always determined. And nothing ever I wanted to, do anything unforeseen
harmful.
Yeah, exactly. But,
bullshit.
Bullshit. No, I went at him. I went at the ball.
I saw it. You went at him, and good on you. And it's all changed a bit. I don't think we would play too many games these days, but we would adapt, of course, wouldn't we?
Of course we would. Yes, of course. Yeah, I like to play as Sam when you were with the white boots, like they were. Yeah, they were very intriguing to me. And I thought, if I can run into this guy,
that's right. No.
If I can run into this guy today with the white boots, I'll be happy.
That's exactly right. So. So how many times did you get reported? A few?
I would have got reported probably maybe 8 times.
Yeah, I got reported 8 times, and some for physical, some for dissent. Swearing at the umpire, which you would now be put in jail for now.
Oh, well, of course you would be. Yeah, my word. Yeah. Well, you give them, you take them. You got to. That was our game. That's the way you should be in sport. You give them out and you take them back and you take the knocks and move on.
One of the people you got reported for hitting, it was Jeff Ainsworth, and that was in 1966. and you got 4 matches for that. I lost my kidney. I don't want this big this back to me, but I lost my kidney in the first semi-final against Collingwood in the 67. What am I talking? Yeah, 67. What am I talking about? Oh, no, 66. I'm sorry, because that was when Collingwood. You kicked, I think, 7 goals on Daryl Griffiths in the preliminary final.
In the second semi.
Second semi.
Yeah.
And then you went on to play in the infamous, for Collingwood, grand final in 66, and they beat you by a point and won their only premiership they've ever won.
Yeah, but who was? It was the only one, but Jeff Crouch was umpire that day, and I remember that there was Teddy Potter, of course, he was playing on Bulldog, and the ball came down and he threw it up, and then he awarded a free kick against Potter for smothering the ball. That's when Breeny got it and kicked the point, you know. Like, fair dinkum.
Cheated again.
No, we were just outdone by smart umpires. And I was running down the ground in the last little bit, and I can still see Ian Graham and Bobby Murray there in front of me, and probably have one more bounce or whatever, but Ian Graham ducked back. But if he stays with him, like the ball comes to the ground, I think you would have to build another grandstand for it to stop me coming down the ground.
Well,
that's the game.
You can hold a grudge, Des. This is 60 years ago. You still remember it as if it was yesterday.
I do.
Yeah,
it was amazing, you know, in the crowd and the atmosphere. And that was similar again too, just referring back to 64 when Gabbo kicked the goal. I kicked the ball to Gabbo that day from the wing, and I kicked the ball to Gabbo. I looked up and he's on his own. I thought they'd dropped him out of the sky in a helicopter.
That's right, and he ham-fistedly bounced that ball. It's pretty easy to run and bounce a ball. It is really, if you got some sort of eye-hand coordination. He made it look like a circus act. It was fantastic, wasn't it?
It was. He lost it about 5 times.
He did.
And of course, he went into the streamers, and I wasn't sure whether he kicked a goal or a point. But
it was brilliant.
That was brilliant. And I had a funny thing he said to me probably a couple of years later. He said, you know, Des, he said, he said, I was glad I was running the right way.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's apocryphal.
We had 64, and then of course 66 was that one, you know, and that's a famous photo with that one with Baldock and I changing jumpers, Sam, on the dais, you know, with the cup.
Oh, I don't remember that. Did you? Have you still got the jumper?
Oh, I did.
Have you still got it?
No, Baldock had it. And God bless Cowboy nearly went over to see Daryl Baldock, and he got my jumper and brought it back to me, you know. So, and I gave Baldock's jumper
back to him,
him, and I gave it. It's in the museum down at the St Kilda.
Yes, someone said they went down to St Kilda, and there's a picture of some current footballers there, but none in the main foyer of any of the people who won them their only premiership. Baldock, Breen and Jeans, who was the coach.
That's right.
And they thought that was a bit unusual, seeing as
that's unusual.
The only time they greeted the judge.
Well, that's right. You go to Carlton, there's 25 cups there in front of you.
There is, yeah.
And so therefore they should have something at St Kilda. I agree.
Now in... You've played in some. I presume you've played in. So 1970. I hope I haven't got you at Essendon in 1970, have I? No. In 1970, the infamous Ted Hopkins saga, when you're 44 points up at half time. You're in that game.
I was.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Des, at this stage, the coach was
Bob Rose.
Surely Bob said after they got to, they narrowed half the gap, surely Bob said to you, Des, please go down and iron this man out or do something. Did you think of taking it on yourself?
I did. Probably interesting that they're very, there's a bit of a conflict there because they dumped me as captain in 69.
Because...
Right. So... You know, I was not captain, and Terry Ward is captain. I love Terry as a guy. He's a very lovely man and a very good friend of mine. And a lot of people, used to say even when Peter Ekins came here that
I'm getting onto that.
I'm sure.
That's why
the 70 grand final Yeah, but I've never watched it. I just saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I don't think it was Hopkins completely. I think every other player contributed. You watched the game, and they highlighted Hopkins, but then again they had Tully in the back pocket, and Tully was not he should have been a forward player. You know,
Yeah.
we should have gone a bit tougher. Yeah, sure, I agree, but you make
Tougher. Oh, well, yeah, when it was slipping away, you should have got a bit tough.
well,
Easier to say all that.
centre
isn't it?
bounce and all that stuff. We
Yeah.
should have gone at it a little bit harder, and which was always a tradition with Collingwood, and we just didn't have enough men with a bit of bite in them at the time, you know. And I probably let myself down that I didn't go a bit harder on that day.
Did you?
I didn't go hard enough.
Didn't you? So that the great late Ron Barassi, that immortalised him in as one of the greats after that, because he handball. He said, just handball, get the ball down there.
Yeah, it was that. But even so, at half time, I think Peter McKenna had kicked. I think he kicked 5-4. You know, normally it's 8-1. You know, we should have been another. You watched the first half. They never had the ball. They had it up about 3 times past the centre. Like, we should have been another 30 points up.
Which was the game you ran through Peter McKenna by mistake.
I did.
Yeah, he was on fire, and you must have lined someone up and just missed him by a whisker and took him out, and that was the end of Peter's game. Really,
yeah. He always says that. He said,
what was that?
I went to Kevin Hall, which probably I shouldn't have. But, Kevin Hall, he was beating Kevin Hall, but I just want to do something and get Kevin Hall out of business. But I just missed him and got Peter.
Fantastic! No, it's brilliant stuff. So then, now you mentioned that you got sacked as captain because you had stood out in the great Tuddenham saga about pay, which is pretty understandable. And when you consider that the great Peter Eakins, and no fault of his, he was commandeered to Collingwood for a $5,000 sign-on fee and $5,000 a year, or for the rest of his contract or something, which in 1970, whatever that was huge money. Huge.
Yeah, it was good money.
For Peter, it was.
A lot of people think that, but it's not really the truth. The truth, it is. But a lot of people probably related to, because of Peter was getting the 5,000 ongoing, and I was captain and getting 3,000. Now, we had a dinner one night with John Tolman, my great friend John, and my solicitor at that time was John Allen, and he was managing Bobby Skilton, and Skilton was getting $8,000 a year.
Was
he? And he said, "Yeah." And he said, look, Skilton's captain of South Melbourne, you're captain of Collingwood, you're getting 3. He said, it's about, it's a big conflict. You should be getting, with the power of Collingwood, you should be getting more money. Yeah. And that's what started it. It was never referral, and a lot of people don't understand that. I was always a great friend of Peter Eakins. And when he
not his fault that he
and no, of course not.
Gets offered the money?
No, not at all. It was nothing at all. Even when he was back in West Australia, I'd go and see him and have a couple of beers with him and taught him he was a really good man. And so it was really the initial part. I listened to the solicitor and then he took their proposition to the club. And of course the club, I had a manager as such, and they said, no, we're not talking to him. Yeah. You got to do it yourself. And that's where the conflict came. And the committee then were dumbfounded and they couldn't handle anyhow. Gordon Carlon and Tom Sheeran, they didn't have the guts to make a decision and do the things that the club wanted to do, and the committee were hopeless.
And so it said it was resolved that they give. It says here that they resolved to give you $125 a game. Is that right, or that's not right?
that'd be right.
Mm. And you said you were on $3,000 anyhow.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like that, they come up with a
and
proposal.
And they only give Len $105 a game.
That's right.
Yeah.
How good was Tomo? $105 a game. Yeah. So that's how backward they were.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. You go through the Collingwood history of the committee, and then in '69, end of '69. Frank Gelbelly stood against Tom Sheeran, and of course Gordon Carlon ran the football club then because he had the social club and he was living off them. And he dominated Collingwood, and Tom Sheeran, of course, and the committee, that they couldn't format a disciplinary area where the club could go forward. And Gelbelly stood in '69, end of '69. I campaigned all through Heidelberg, everywhere, and we got beaten by 6 votes. And had Gelbelly won, I would have been playing coach at Collingwood in
That's
70.
Frank.
Frank Gilbelly.
I used to go out to Frank's joint when he was with us and play tennis with him back in the
That's right.
80s.
That's right.
Out in...
Well, I think you and
Baldwin.
Wayne Richardson played tennis.
Yeah,
there.
we did.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can hear that. Can you hear that through the microphone? That is torrential rain.
Yeah.
I can hardly hear myself speak. I'm not sure if it's coming through the microphone, but if you're having trouble hearing this, that is absolutely persistently raining. That's extraordinary. Haven't got the roof off the car, have you, Des?
No, I haven't.
Jeez.
No.
That is extraordinary.
It's amazing how it's pelting down, yeah. It's true Ballarat weather. I'm used to it.
Just don't speak for. I'll just see if how the sound bars are going on here. Yeah, no, that's coming through the microphone. Anyhow, that's it. That's thrown me. So Collingwood, in a state of a disarray, really, back run by people who were there for the. Just loved the power of being at Collingwood and wearing the blazer, and all their hearts were in the right place, but probably not the business acumen needed until people like the great.
No, well, we've had Frank. Frank would have run it as business,
Frank, yep.
and he would have just revitalised Collingwood. It would have just been, and of course then, and I've always been in fitness, and I would have had him so fit, and I would have had him disciplined and fit, and we'd have been a much better side.
Yes.
Not. I'm not saying that against Bob Rose. I love Bob Rose. He's a terrific guy, wonderful coach, and a beautiful man. But he didn't push enough in fitness, and I always wanted him to make sure when I was playing that Bob, give it to me. Tell them I'm going bad, whatever, But he didn't. He didn't want to do that, He just had a beautiful heart.
Yeah, it's like Bob Davis again.
That's right.
You were self-deprecate. You said, "I'll take one for the team. Shout at me if you wish, if it does us any good."
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wanted him to do that all the time. I can't do that, Des. But I said, I wish he had it because, the players think, heavens, he's Tuddy trains that hard. He works so hard. But why should he be on him? But it would have been good. It would have been a good reflection on the other players to let them say, "My God, I've got to do better."
So 71 comes around, and so you go to Essendon.
And no, in 71 was I stayed on in 71.
71.
71 was the
71.
Year. 71. I trained hard, and with John Tolman. Well, we were running 10 miles a day, and I was training with Stan Nichols in the gym. I got so fit, and I won the mile at Wangaratta. I won the 400 at Wangaratta, and I got really fit. Super fit. And then that's had a great year, and that's when Tom Hafey and I was selected in the Victorian team.
Yep. And you were made captain of the Victorian team, and you weren't even captain of your own team.
Yeah, that's a good story with Tommy Hafey. Jim Crow was chairman of selectors at Collingwood, and he was chairman of selectors of the state team. It so happened that year, and Jim Crow said to Tom Hafey, "Who are you going to make captain?" And he said, "Oh, there's only one player in Australia." He said, "Tuddy's the best captain in Australia." And Jim said, "But he's not captain of our club." And Tommy said, "That's how silly you guys are."
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. When I said 71 came around, I've got... You played for Collingwood from 62 to 71, and I should have said then you went in 72 to 75. You were at 72. You went to Essendon.
Correct. Yeah.
How did that come about?
Come about through Tom Hafey in Perth.
Well, what's he got to do with it?
No, he said to me in Perth, we were playing the state team over there. He said, "Des."
When he was coaching Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said, "I want you to address the players before the game."
Yeah.
And I did. And I gave him a rousing rundown, and Big Nick and I, of course, Nick was vice captain, and we knew the players we had to get cut out up there, Cable and a couple of others. But
that's 71.
That was 71.
Was I there? I played in 8 state games, so obviously I wasn't.
No, you weren't there in 71. I would have known because I always looked up to you, Sam. So
yeah, all right.
And Alan Hurd, the president, James Hurd's grandfather, was there, and he heard me address the players and all. And
did he?
After the game, probably that night at dinner, he said, would you be interested in coaching Essendon next year, you know? So that's where it eventuated from.
So that's well documented, all that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure it is, yeah.
No, but that's public knowledge because I've not actually... I probably never knew really how it came about.
I probably haven't expressed that a lot. But
So Alan Hurd, you were playing for Collingwood. You weren't the captain, but in 1971, and after the state game, and he heard you address the lads instead of Tom Hafey, and he said, "Would you be interested?" And you said, "Well, I might be." What did you say? Does it might be?
I said I'd consider it.
How's your fiscal position going at Essendon? What did you think that would be worth to do that? Did you say that to them?
No, it wasn't money.
Wasn't
at that time? No, I don't think so. And then I met David Shaw and Jim Matthews. We had a meeting at Parliament House because he was Education Minister at the time.
Yeah.
And
so were you allowed to be having meetings, or did they have to be a bit clandestine because you were allowed to poach?
We had to go to the dark room.
Yeah, good.
Of course. But yeah, and then of course David and Shaw and Jim Matthews, and so it took a little bit of time, and we sort of.
What did you say about Lee Matthews? Did you say Lee Matthews?
No, Jim Matthews.
Oh, Jim, sorry.
Jim was a
Stockton
station agent, and he was on the committee vice president and recruiting manager later on. Jim was a wonderful, wonderful man.
Is this at Essendon?
At Essendon.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim, I don't know if you ever met Jim Matthews or not.
I don't recall meeting
Jim.
No,
he was, and David Shaw, of course.
I met David,
terrific fella, David. And so he formulated... probably 2 or 3 weeks' time, I had a good look at it and
gave it to your manager, or were you handling your own affairs at this stage?
No. Actually, David Shaw did a lot of the forming with my contract and whatever, which was good. Yeah, and then I decided, yes, we'll go to. I'll coach you. You know?
How'd that go over with the Pies? How'd that go over? I can't remember the furor in the press. I'm sure there was back in the day.
I think Jack Dunn was front page. You know, So prior to that, I'd been over to Perth, and Jack was saying I was going to head to Perth to coach West Perth. You know, so I nearly went to Perth. Actually, was pretty close, and anyhow, I decided to go to Essendon, but I'm probably sorry I didn't go to Perth. I think you need to break from Victoria and then go there and coach, and then I would have come back when 100% coach Collingwood.
So you're sorry in hindsight, a little sorry you didn't go to Perth instead of coaching Essendon.
I love coaching Essendon. Would win a nice break.
Did you?
I did.
You loved coaching them.
I love coaching Essendon.
Yeah.
And, you know, so you make a decision and you got to put your mind to it. And I coached got all the young players, Sam, from under 19s and got involved with under 19 teams, and Bob Syme was there at the time, Swampy Syme, and he was a wonderful backup to me as an assistant coach. You know, we had a good knowledge, and when you're playing coach, well, of course we played Bob Rose in my first game at Footscray, and I said to Alan Hurd,
what did you say then?
Bob Rose. Bob Rose left Collingwood,
and he was
went
the
to
captain
Footscray.
And captain coach.
No, he just coached
I
Bob
thought
Rose.
you said you played Bob Rose.
Bob Rose's
I thought
team.
you meant you had him in your side. No, you played his side.
Team.
Yes, pardon me.
No, that's right. And he went to Footscray.
Yes, he did.
And of course we
your first game as captain coach was against Footscray.
Bob Rose.
Fantastic.
Amazing at Footscray. And I said to Alan Hurd before the game, because we'd been down at Cerberus and training, and I had him super fit. And I said, we'll beat him by 15 goals. And he said, what?
Yeah.
I said, well, we will. He said, well, you only won 3 games last year. I said, oh, it doesn't matter about that. I said, we'll win. And we think we finished up and went beaten by 16.
Did you? Mm. And you said that before? You said that to...
I knew we were so fit. Compared to, I knew Bobby wouldn't have his team fit, you know. So Alan Noonan, centre forward, he kicked 5 goals. He was a good player.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I know. He played against all these people. So Des, you when you were signed at Essendon, it would have been like Elvis arriving at Las Vegas. They wouldn't have believed their luck. Who was the? I should know who was the captain. Who was?
We had Barry Davis. And
who is he the coach before you?
No, John Burt.
John Burt, yep. Mm.
Interesting with John Burt, his birthday's the same day as mine.
Is it?
Amazing.
Do you swap birthday greetings?
Yeah, we do.
Or did he get his nose out of joint when?
No. John and I known him from Ballarat. He played cricket, and he took it. He's a nice bloke, John. He took it on the chin.
He's a very nice bloke.
Oh, he's a good player too. He's very good.
So you turned up at Essendon, Des, and they probably didn't know what had hit him.
No.
Hey, you said. You probably didn't know what it hit. Who were the people at Essendon? Just the notables like Noonan and Moss?
Jeff Blethyn, their full forward. He kicked 103 goals my first year. He was
wearing glasses.
Yeah. Oh, he was a great player. Neville Fields, and Kenny Roberts, Jack Casson, all those young boys.
Fantastic players.
All those boys come from the under-19s. We had Robin Close. And Jeff Pryor he was playing then, and Johnny Williams, Barry Davis, of course, and we blended in. We had well.
Did you blend in well with them, or
I did.
This was not a democracy. This was a dictatorship. When you got there, you said, "Now listen, I don't know what you've been used to in the past, but this is how it goes here now." Were you strong with them, or were you well regarded? Did you get on well with them, or did they suffer you because they probably realised that this was the way to succeed?
No, when my first address was them, and there's a sign over there, an exit sign.
Yes.
Now you either stay on or you can go.
Yep.
And I don't care who you are, where you are, and not one person left.
Well, they wouldn't.
Thank goodness.
No, but they wouldn't.
But then we went down to Cerberus, training down there, and we trained hard. I trained with them because I was playing, and we had the Cerberus fitness guys training us. And I said to Bob Simon, go down and get 8 slabs of beer, and after training, and they didn't know, but I said, after training we're going to watch all the videos of last year, and their chins dropped, And then they walked in the room, and Alan Noonan and a few of all of the beer, and they had it all cold beer and that. And I said, you're our coach.
Reverse psychology.
Yeah, it was amazing, and they said, this guy's he's fair and reasonable.
Now, how would you go today if after a bad performance you asked your team, or you said to them, you've played like dogs, now you can act like them. I want you to crawl around the boundary like dogs. How would you go if you did say that to your side at one stage, or is that a little bit over the top? I didn't say dogs. No, I didn't say that. I said, look, you're on your hands and knees yesterday, so you'll be on them today. So you didn't say they were dogs. So you'd be arrested and put in jail if you said that today, and and Ron Barassi would have been arrested and put in jail if he was alive today. Some of the things he did, but that's the evolving world we live in. You must be bemused at the evolving world we're living in, Des.
It's scary, but
Eddie,
I told them anyhow that we crawled half the ground. I did it too, and we crawled half the ground. Then I had sandbags another half, and then we ran up and down the ground. And then I said to Bob, right, go down and get a few cans and whatever. And then we came in after the game, and I sat in the corner. I said, you tell me what I'm doing wrong. And that was a turning point. We won the next 6 games in a row. All the players had to go, let them have a go. Kenny Fletcher and all those guys, let them have to say, okay, I did notes and took them all down and said, righto, we can change a few things, and we did. It was good.
And did your popularity and your respect last for the whole of your tenure of office, or did people did it start to wear off? I'm just asking you this. I don't know this. Right?
Like my hardcore.
How did you come to end your?
And the committee was
playing.
That was in end of 1975.
Playing coaching career. Yep.
That was 75.
That's correct.
Yep. I was there for 4 years. And then they had a committee meeting, and David Shaw and Jim Matthews wasn't there.
I see.
And I was,
What did they say to you? Did they say you're probably not playing as well as you should have? Maybe as a conflict of interest in your mind about coaching and being the captain, playing and being the coach? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's time for me, football-wise. I probably had one more year left in me playing-wise, and you got to be, if you're playing, you've got to contribute. And of course, in those days, after 4 games, which I didn't mention earlier, but after 4 games, I said to Bob Simon, you coach from up top, I'm playing. You just couldn't manage both.
I see. So after 4 games when you started at Essendon, You said, mate, it's. I was just going to ask you how. Nick did it, didn't he? Nichols?
Yeah.
Ron did it? Barassi?
Jezza.
Jezza did it? Few of them have done it.
Malcolm Blythe.
Yeah. Pretty difficult, I
Very
reckon.
hard, yeah. Hard to, and then I said to Bob, and I had great faith in Bob. He had a good footy brain, and we'd, talk at half time, or quarter time, whatever. So that made the difference. I started to play better then too, And,
Well, you would.
And so, at the end of the day, it was just a committee decision, and, there were probably about 8 players that, still campaigned to hold me on as a coach. So it was interesting, but anyhow, that's football.
Yeah, when you delegate your authority and you're the captain coach and you say, you coach from the sidelines, Jim, Bob, you want to be careful Bob doesn't take you off the ground, just drag you. Yeah, that would have ended up in some tears, I reckon.
No, Bob would never done that.
No,
so he was a wonderful assistant, and he was going to coach. They probably would have coached Essendon had I not got the job. So we really linked in well together, and he was a great. He played with John Coleman and coached, and he had a great affinity with Essendon. It was good because he had that tradition there, and supporters rallied on it,
So you played 251 games of pretty tough football in those days. You might say it's tough today, but not quite as tough in general terms as it was back then. But
no, physically it was tough, like man on man, and the players come at you, and it was wonderful though, really,
It was
wonderful.
The
Yeah,
competitive aspect of playing,
and
whether you were brave or not, it didn't matter. You were there in amongst it.
Amongst the middle of it, like Jeff Ainsworth and as you said, and Johnny Devine, I got reported. So we
for hitting Johnny Devine.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, that's almost a death wish because he was a tough man like yourself.
He was real and wonderful after the game. Though you'd sit down and work out how you're going to beat the tribunal, but
that's right.
And you have a beer together and become good friends, over those situations, and you respect on the ground. You've got to win and beat your opponent, but as long as and after the game, as you know, Sam, you get very good friends with opposition players. I'm probably equally a friend with a lot of opposition players what we are with Collingwood players.
So, Des, then you went on to have a crack at the Swans, South Melbourne as they were then. You coached them in 78. How did you get that gig? Now, was Graham John there in those days? No.
No.
Who was there in those days?
George Kamikaris was president.
I see.
Yeah.
How did it do?
And that came about through...
Someone hear you give a speech at a function?
No, not at all, no. It was probably through John Tolman. John Tolman was there and Oberyn Pirac was a football manager at the time.
Remember all those names?
Yeah, so... Yeah, and that's where it started, and they interviewed me, and I got the job there, of course, and for 1 year, and then I got the we had a good year, brought all the young ones up, and Hoffy and Roundy and Teasdale. I didn't realise. We had some, and so we had a good year, but anyhow, the committee said, I'm too tough on them, Oberyn Pirac took the boys away and he said, look, Teddy's going to sack about 6 of you guys. You're going to bring all the young ones in. And that's when they rebelled. They got the news that I was going to sack about 6 or 7 of the older ones, And then they referred to the committee and they said, and the committee, it was interesting, I sat before the committee and they said, I asked them all around the table, why are you sacking me? And none of them knew why. It was amazing. But anyhow, we and then they wouldn't pay me contract out, Sam. And so the next year I turned up.
So why wouldn't they? Did they sack you?
Yeah, they sacked me.
So if they sacked you, surely that's part of how you get sacked. Is they pay you out and they wish you well, or they just send you on your way?
They refused to pay me. So
why did they? There must have been some technical aspect of that.
Yeah, probably with my solicitor John Allen at the time, and I was he said you got to turn. So I turned up for training again the next year with Ian Stewart. He got reappointed again.
You did too. Yeah, you did too.
And I turned up to training until they paid me out. I'd walk out in the ground with Stewart and say, "What are we doing tonight?" for training. And
isn't that pathetic? You have to do that.
Oh, it was pathetic, yeah.
Yeah.
But I had to do it, you know.
That's right.
Wasn't a lot of money, but more on principle.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Anyhow, I won out to the finish. Even one night the police came and said, you got to try to remove me off the ground. Yeah.
Trespassing.
I'm trespassing.
That's brilliant.
I said, just go home and do your own work, you know. You don't know the deals.
Amazing. So, and that's probably the start of them thinking we're not too financially secure here in Melbourne. That would be, I know that's a little years prior to going to Sydney, but that would have been the groundwork of going up there, I reckon.
Oh yeah, for sure. But anyhow, what it is, I carried it out and they finalised it and walk away. You know.
Fantastic. I like that. So there's a fine line between being disciplined with the team and being diplomatic, isn't it? It's like you can shout at them and demand them, and then you got to have people play for you and not in spite of you. So that would be a very fine line to walk, I reckon.
Oh, it is, yeah. And I think if they, underneath it all too, they respect you. And then many times too, Sam, you can walk up to them after the game and say, look, now, this is the reason why I did it, whatever, you know. Like, and you don't have to make excuses. They're getting paid. They're contracted. And in those days, it wasn't a lot of money. We were playing in front of big crowds and enjoying the game. Like, we were playing country football in front of big crowds, Sam. We weren't getting no remuneration.
What we were being exploited. Des, we were putting the show on, and everyone else was getting the spoils.
That's right. It's interesting. A few weeks ago, Ian Collins, of course, he's on the. I'm involved with, as you know, the president of the Life members, and Collo was saying, you know, the players should be paid. You know, they put the show on, and so he hasn't ever got a conflict with the players what they're getting. You know, and I think, and what we were doing, we were putting the show on, but you know, not getting rewarded. But in those times, what it was, and what can you do? It's gone. And as you know, Sam, I never worry about the past. You can't.
And so did you have great joy or pride in your son going on to play for the
for sure,
for Collingwood?
Yeah. Well, actually, to be honest with you, I would like to see him go to Essendon because of Collingwood. You know, but no, of course, when Paul played his first game down at St Kilda, and as you know, Paul is a cousin of Danny Frawley, and They were good mates.
I probably knew that, but yes.
Yeah. Yep. So they played against St Kilda, and Danny's playing, and Paul's played his first game, and Paul played 43 games, and he did well, you know, and he trained hard. He went to John Tolman.
Did he?
And trained. If he hadn't have gone there, he would never have made it. And,
you're close to Paul?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. I'm quite close with Paul. Yeah, he's I mean, all the time with his family. Got 3 girls and a boy and grandchild. You know, so very, very. Yeah, I'm close to all my children.
Good. So Des, life is full of ups and downs, and you've had a few downs. You've had a few controversies in your life, like I have, like everyone has.
Sure.
How do you look back on those days of? The days that have caused you controversy, how do you look back on all that? Because you've been great discipline football-wise, but probably just dropped the ball in...
I dropped the ball in business a couple of times. Yeah, for sure. And you think the people are genuine and honest.
Yep.
And that's not excuses. You know, no. It was my mistake, and I pulled the wrong rein. So it was the wrong rein, but I've had the capacity to handle that, and I've had the capacity to prove otherwise, and so therefore, sure, I made mistakes. I made a mistake with the plastic business, and lost $1 million, and so, but recover. You don't go. I don't go out the side and say, well, shit, I'm a sook. I'm giving up. I don't give up, and I get back and I lead, and I still do today, and.
Des, no one knows this more than me, but sometimes desperate people do desperate things, and I've done them in my life, and you've probably suffered the consequences of doing them in your life away from football. Did you? Were you ever incarcerated? Did you ever go to jail?
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't.
No, I was close.
Yes.
But No, I wasn't. Like the judge at the end of the day knew that there was grey areas that what was
Mitigating circumstances.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so therefore, no, it was. I just had to do community work, so
Yeah.
I did that with full colours and moved on.
Well, absolutely. That's the name of life, is moving on. If you transgress, as I say, I can resonate exactly with you. I haven't probably done some of the things that you've been accused of or have done, but I've done. I get belted as much as probably you do.
I see it, and I see it in the community. Sometimes, like a lot of our cohorts that we've played football with who hit bad times and whatever, and you've got to, sure, I made a mistake. I know I did, and I'm the first one to admit it, by trusting a guy in a few deals, and I had a few drink driving problems, I did for a while, and that
I've done that too.
And luckily now that'll never happen again because I just throw the keys away. So okay, I made them. And probably
you wear it.
As far I wear it, but then again, probably the time too is not good for your children and your family. But if they understand underneath it all that they know their dad and they're trustworthy with him. So that's the main thing with me.
I can resonate. I've got my son sitting up here probably listening to this, and he's probably thinking, "Shit, what have I had to go through to be the son of me?" But that is life, mate, and we make mistakes, and that's how you recover. And you're going well now. You're eking out a living in scrap metal, and
scrap metal's I've been in that now probably.
And you're looking good.
20 years.
Pretty fit. You look very fit.
I train and swimming. But at the moment, my life, I got my children are good. Paul's doing well. My daughter's physio, and Paul's on the board at Collingwood now, so the Collingwood tradition and the Tuddenham spirit is back in Collingwood. So
fantastic.
And Jeff Brown's been great as president, and Eddie was over the years been fantastic with the past players. Eddie's enthusiasm and the respect he had for the past players, and it was great this year. He became a life member of the AFL.
Yep, he's an absolute. Well,
I know with you, but the time you've had and the loyalty and the atmosphere he brings with himself, at Collingwood, he turned Collingwood around.
He did. He absolutely did.
And the icing on the cake was Jeff Brown, because he did so well, and now they got a great coach and a great administration, and they're going well now. So
they. Now, just the generic Dorothy Dix questions. Which players or player would you like to have recruited to Essendon to, if you could have? Who are the players that you admired for whatever reason in our great game when it was VFL, now AFL, and now a national game? Who do you follow the game, and who do you think is a star?
Sam,
then and now.
Oh, in my time, I think John Nichols was a great player. Like in Skilton. Like we trained together, and Skilton, I admire. What a great player he was. He ruck rove to the losing ruckman every week. Beautiful player, tough and Bruce. He wasn't. But he was tough with the ball.
But he went in and got the ball.
He was tough. For winning the ball, courage. I always say Skilton. Of course, Nichols was so smart. He knew the weaknesses and strengths of every player. And of course, I got Mossy. I think Mossy at Essendon was a fantastic.
Yep.
I rate Alan Noonan, is probably the best player I coached at Essendon.
Yeah, is that right?
Centre forward, he was just a beautiful mark and kick, and his contribution to our club was amazing. Meetings and everything, he was good. Of course, and over the years, probably, Ian Stewart was a great player, and
So you played 251 games. Who did you not dread? Oh, you wouldn't dread anyone. Who did you think? Oh, I hope I'm not. Hope I'm not playing on this bloke, but have always had trouble beating this bloke for a whole lot of different reasons. What opponent stood out that gave you the shits?
A bulldog, Kevin Murray, bulldog. He's had such long arms.
Yeah.
Francis Burke was the other.
Yes, Francis Burke.
He was a really
great names these are.
Oh, yep. He he was very hard to beat. He was alongside you all the time and with you all the time. You never break away much from him. He was very, very hard to beat all the time, you know. The best player I loved playing on was John Mantell because he'd leave you loose.
Would he?
Yeah. But that's been great. Well, Johnny Devine, of course, he was a great player to play on. He was tough too. I rate Johnny always hard to beat, you know. He was with you all the time and... Yeah, so...
Did you ever play? I had a dinner. We had dinner with Carl Dittrich the other day. Did you lock horns with Carl? Did you? When he was coaching. Melbourne?
He ran at you all the time. You know, down at St Kilda and all. He was a good player. You know, like so I wish him well with all his demeanour. You know, so. We're all as sister players, and we're all with him, and I hope it works out. But, and Carl was good. Yeah, he's coached Melbourne and led, and you know, of course, he swing his arms and all that. But he was a great competitor.
I was the recipient of a lot of those swinging arms. No, it was fantastic.
Yeah, no, he's been good to the game.
Well, Des, you've been good for the game, and you're a star. And I say this again: if you're recovered from some adversity that's happened in your life, like we all have, but we are here doing what we do because we played football in this for this great game. Whether you like it or not, how it's played now, and whether you think it's being run properly, doesn't matter. It is a fantastic game. And you are one of 25 people who never won a Brownlow that said you should have. I thought that's a fair accolade for someone or a group of people to say.
I always say to Peter Bedford, I was runner-up. I was 19 votes behind. But I think we finish up with one thing we like in life, respect. Yeah. And we both have respect, Sam. Yeah. And what we've done in the game and what we are, where we are today. Yeah. And I think that's like being involved with the AFL Life members, and I can go and have a meeting with Andrew Dillon and go whatever I want, and they respect. And I have respect for it too, you know. So I think that's a feather in your cap and my cap.
The great Des Tuddenham.